I've seen people trying their best to destroy someone's relationship, having no clue that there is something wrong with it. Because if I love this person and I want to have them back, that's okay to do whatever I can to make sure I break this other relationship. I heard people come to me and say, listen, Dr. Ira, I betrayed, like I cheated on my wife, but I don't want her to know. It's not going to be good for our family, for our children. So I want to come to couples therapy, but I don't want you to talk about that.
I've been told that as well.
Yeah, I turned that off. In my case, I cannot help you. If you are not
Okay.
willing to open up and to start being real, I cannot help you. And in that case, the person didn't come. That's fascinating for me. I don't know a better word to say it, but with such degree of lack of empathy, I would say it's psychopathic, sociopathic, somewhere there, when a person cannot understand what is wrong. You know, I did it. I don't want to tell her because it's going to hurt her feelings. So I'm actually being considerate.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to tell uh those that disclose that I'm not a secret keeper. That's not my role in this work. And yeah, it's really tough. And a lot of the way I see couples as well is sometimes infidelity or other, there's many types of betrayals that can exist, may not reveal themselves until way later. Sometimes it is upfront. Hey, I'm starting this work with you, just so you know, XYZ, please don't tell. But sometimes I've seen the couple together to start, and then it's been revealed that
Mhm.
both would benefit from individual sessions, but I have to make very clear, hey, we're still in this all together, and I'm not your container to relieve yourself of guilt. Because
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like we're expected to be the almost in a reminds me of like a confession, right? They're
Or be an
confessing to us,
ally, or be
an
an ally
ally.
in
Yeah,
someone's psychopathy,
yeah,
or be an ally in someone's psychopathy. So
yeah.
this is something that I really wanted to for us to open up and have this conversation. And I'm so curious what you think about it as well, because to me, my stance on that is very actually clear. To go behind your partner's back and do something that you know they do not consent. When you come into other person's body and the understand between two of you that your body that is coming into their body, right? The male who is coming into the female, for her to know that this is, we have an agreement, and there is a lot of importance to these agreements because entire experience and what we are weaving as creators in this life is very much impacted by what is coming into our body, right? We know it, what we eat, what we breathe, and what comes in as this relational energy, sexual energy. So it's very important that whatever happens afterwards, we at least can have very sparkling clarity around the fact that to betray is not a good thing. There is just clarity. There has to be clarity around it. You have done something that I don't even know how to try and bring someone who is trying to understand, well, how is it important? If that person doesn't know, I still love them, I want to be with them. How is that important? How would you bridge that? why it's actually not a good thing, like why it's actually bad. And if you want, like, first you need to at least understand that you had done something wrong, then you will see what's possible or not possible afterwards.
Yeah, acknowledgement. Acknowledgement, and then taking responsibility for are crucial steps in any movement forward. And the way I most often encounter this in my work as a sex coach, people usually come to fix, oh, my body is not showing up for me. Sex is mechanically not working anymore. Pleasure is not happening. Pain is happening, or I'm being rejected sexually. My wife doesn't want to have sex with me anymore. It must be her hormones because she's this age. Can you please help me fix her? And then, right, that could be the narrative. But
Mm-hmm.
session 3, I find out 3 years ago, there was a infidelity that was either discovered or not discovered.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of those circumstances, I go, well, hey, perhaps your breakdown in intimacy, novel idea,
Mm-hmm.
is related, is rooted in what led to the infidelity in the first place, and then the actual infidelity. So that can feel like a huge gap. I mean, I'm going back to your question, how do you bridge that gap? Sometimes it can feel really big for the person who's just disclosed this information. They're like, but it's in the past. We've moved forward. But have we?
Mm-hmm.
Have you?
Yeah, but if someone really wanted to understand, like, why, like, because I met quite few times this approach, it would be guy who would say, but listen, I don't understand, like, we are all humans. There's the sentence, we are all humans. And I had this crush, I had this moment, and sometimes people tell all kinds of stories, there can be spiritual stories around it. It's profound. It was just like electricity went through us, and she knew that I'm married and I'm not planning to uncouple. But I just had to, right? I just had to. It was bigger than me. And then they decided not to tell to their partner because that relationship is very important to them. They want to keep it. And I'm on the other side, almost like, just feeling all the grief and all the sorrow that this partner, their woman, cannot even feel because she doesn't know. But I do know that it's somewhere, it exists. It exists in the field, even if we don't talk about it. But I wonder how you would, if someone said, why? Well, like, what harm did I do? Like, I didn't do any harm if I didn't talk to her. I didn't actually do any harm.
You're saying in this crush scenario where they have not, to their standard, they have, or perception, they have not acted upon it. So they feel like they have not done harm.
They feel that they did not do harm because their partner doesn't know that they cheated on her.
Ah, okay. The cheating happened,
Because
but
she
the
doesn't
partner.
know that she cheated, then there is no harm. They just,
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think you just used the word fields. Like there's a shift that maybe think of it. Oh, wow. The analogy that's coming to me is like the earth is always shifting imperceptibly, and the foundation of a house is shifting imperceptibly. And then one day there's this crack that's going up the wall. And
and let us maybe say what the crack is, and maybe you will correct me. But to specify what the crack is, to me, the crack is that I can deceive you. The person to whom you gave your whole self. Because what is partnership? You're giving this person your heart and your body, right? So the person to whom you've given all of you says, it's not a big deal. I can deceive you. Like, that's how I would describe the crack.
Okay, I see that. And I think there's my other, maybe we're very close, but the crack I think could also be in the perception of, oh, this is hidden, these movements, no one knows about them.
The idea that
And
no
then
one knows, the idea that no one knows, yeah.
the deal that no one knows, but then fast forward 5 years, potentially this crack shows up, this crack, the rift, other areas of intimacy that have broken down. And that other partner is going, well, where the heck, or both partners, where the heck is this physical, tangible crack in our foundation of our house, where compared to there's natural shifts, sticking with this analogy, there a house can be on an earth that is it's a part of nature to shift and move, but did the tenants of the house, did the homeowners take care of the foundation? Did they repair? Did they address? Did they clean out? Then the house stays healthy. The structure stays
Right.
healthy.
So even what you do with your hands and the way you talk, I want to draw attention, of our viewer, that when you're together and you're understanding, okay, we are building, there's again and again, I think in those moments we go into what it means when you have a relationship where you consent to each other and you want, and this is what you're trying to build. You're building exclusive partnership. Which you might say, okay, it still doesn't have to be exclusive, but you have this clear boundaries and agreements. And but for me, it's just easier to focus on this
Sure.
one, in this relationship, when you say, okay, this is how we are going to be. We are going to be in exclusive relationships. So what happens? You pour all the energy and attention into this. And it's really actually powerful when you do that. What you've been describing as, so sometimes you fight, sometimes there are, different needs and desires, This is what the partnership is going to present to you all the time. Here you are, you're attracted to each other, you love each other, like there is a bond, there is a magnet that is drawing you together. And at the same time, you have all these differences of, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I want to have this kind of, sexual experience. And I want to have, but when you put everything, you do the work, you continue to hold container, you continue to sit together. And when you have tools, this is what we provide in our work, how to do it.
Yes.
Then your sexuality and your connection and your intimacy, they grow. This person becomes intoxicating for you. The question of, I don't, like, what do you mean we don't want to have sex with each other? Why would we even get to the point where something like this,
Yeah, and it happens. It can feel to couples like it's happened overnight, and then the other partner can feel like they've been starved for a long time. And on average, a lot of couples that I see say they've been suffering in some form of unmet intimacy needs for at least 3 years, sometimes 6 years
wow.
before they've ever have either the courage, or one has courage and the other one is in denial. And sometimes the one in denial is afraid for stuff to be revealed when you're doing the work. And sometimes infidelity is sparked by, there's many reasons, but sometimes I've encountered this desire for sex acts, sexual exploration that they don't trust their partner to accept. So they seek it in unattached individuals. that they don't feel like would judge them for it. But what's wrapped up in that too is the shame for stepping out of the container. And you did make a note that I do work with couples that are opening up their relationship, and I work with couples in different parts of a polyamorous journey. And I think a
Mhm.
common misconception looking into polyamorous and open relationships is that cheating doesn't exist because it's open. And that's absolutely not true, because every
Mhm.
relationship structure has its own sets of agreements. So when we started this conversation from infidelity, there's so many different types of betrayal. I want to go back to your word betrayal. It could be
Mhm.
about any breach of contract in terms of, so many things. And those contracts, they're allowed to shift and
And
change.
those contracts are exactly, and those contracts are allowed to shift. That's true.
And I think sometimes there's a lot of fear about making a request for an amendment. If you're a couple years even into a relationship and you realize your authentic self wants to make an amendment to this contract, you might
Mhm.
fear rejection or ultimatums when if
Or the
there's
end of relationship, right? Because again, if you created a contract with someone who wants exclusive relationship till the end of their days, you can understand that if you say, listen, I want to amend the contract and I want to uh, be with other people, that person might tell you, I understand, I hear you, and I'm not going to be one of them,
yeah.
right?
And that's
But
up and that's
we need to grow in our we need to grow. We need to understand that we must have those honest conversations because it's going to be beneficial for everyone. Especially if you're younger. Of course, find out what you want and what you dream about. This is the time. And if you dream about having a family where you polyamorous family, why would you do anything else? It's you. You can do what you want to do. Yeah. And if you betrayed your partner, meaning that there was infidelity behind their back, if you want if you want a chance in a true intimacy, you need to disclose it. And it's absolutely wise to hire a coach and to have someone who's going to help you. It's just going to make everything so much easier, especially if you're at the place where you know that this person you want to not only to keep the relationship, but also to grow it. Then that's such a beautiful, I think, way to address it, to be, I want you to come with me to therapy. There is something that we need to talk about. I really love you. I really, yeah.
I think of the couples that I've worked with that have moved through betrayals of different kinds reminds me of the Japanese pottery style where
Wabi
the
sabi.
what's it called?
Wabi sabi.
Yeah, so it's
When
the
it's
the
break into pieces and then you glue it with the golden clay. Wabi
Mhm.
sabi.
And acknowledging I've talked with couples who speak with um joy and um acknowledgement and just so many powerful words in reflection of what they've been through and feel stronger for it and more secure and have learned about each other. So there is something really, really amazing on the other side. If you're
Absolutely.
mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to work with the process that Heidi Schleifer developed. I don't do all of it. I do certain parts from her process and other things again with the nature and with the energy healing. But she has this beautiful protocol for redemption. And she speaks about how important it is to connect to true remorse and what true remorse is. So first you need to understand that you have done something wrong. Then, of course, when you open up and you truly kind of claimed your mistake, and you allow the other person to have their response and to have their grief and to have their, you hold space for that. That's the ultimate punishment, right? Because you need to sit with what you have created. Then you can together kind of go the process. What is beautiful about this process, because it kind of takes you into deeper dynamics that help the couple understand what actually brought the two of them to this point. And this is where we shift out of this idea of dichotomy, that there is like the bad guy who cheated and the good, victim who it happened to. In reality, it's something that couple created. Two did something that allowed for that to happen. And if you, I mean, yeah, I know that for some people, it can be very hard to like, oh, what do you mean? I have this partner who is like, they're so terrible, they're yelling and they're abusive. Well, if I come, to your side and I'm this woman who is in this relationship, then my responsibility is to step out of it, right? There's still always my side or what I do or don't do.
And to acknowledge the person whose boundaries have been crossed and their responsibility to reestablish boundaries or discover those for the first time and speak out against them. Many of us reach into our early relationships carrying wounds from our childhood that have that limit our ability to communicate those, but it's a part of the process. While it's a cliche to say it takes two to tango, to illustrate your exact point, there's two sides, but especially for the one who's maybe suffered emotional abuse within the relationship, and definitely in this topic of betrayal, we do, as coaches and therapists, help hold space for this person to both acknowledge the areas where they've been victimized, but also acknowledge the areas where now moving forward, we can reestablish boundaries or again, discover them for the first time.
Or also sometimes jump. So what in my, in my experience working with couples around this issue, when man is the one who betrayed, and the woman is the one, who didn't know. When we dove deeper, or when we released that, hurt or that, pain around it, and we wanted to go and see it, how did that even happen? Then often really it's just something that had repeated a few times. There would be estrangement from the female, from her side. She would be kind of, maybe she was working too much, maybe she had all kinds of demands on a guy, and didn't appreciate his contributions. Like suddenly we would begin to see the hidden side, right? The side where victim, and I do this because I want us to step outside. When we want to resolve something, we want to step outside of very narrow specifications. We want to always, as a couple, when we are trying to build something together, and especially if we are wanting to go beyond this rupture of trust, and still repair, then we really need to look at the relationship and to all of these dynamics and be like, well, the hidden part is that I didn't want him anymore, and I was always judgmental, and he never was enough. And I didn't realize that I'm rejecting him constantly. For example. And then we go, how did that happen? Oh, he didn't really honor her boundaries. He didn't really understand that if you want to have more sex, then it's kind of on you to grow and to understand how can I excite you? What happens that I don't excite you anymore? And often, it takes people to understanding that they need help. They need help. It's hard to figure out those things on your own. It's hard to do this emotional processing. It's mainly, I think, hard to do the emotional processing and have that capacity where you can sit together and listen so deeply to the self, to what are my needs, and understand that, that once we arrive to the point where it's almost like everything is reset, it's again the two of us, two of our essences that are still attracted to each other, that are trying to build a certain life that we are going to be experiencing. So it's again coming to the place of, so what are we trying to build actually? And let's now get real. Let's now reassess. Let's now again be real. What are we actually wanting? What are we saying to each other?
And sometimes that question is met with overwhelm and blank. I don't know. I don't know what I want to build anymore. I don't know what, but maybe their only sense of knowing is what's happening now is painful. Make
Right.
this stop. Sometimes that's the level of desperation that we can encounter. But
Right. And no matter what's there, whether it's I don't know or it hurts like hell, path is one path. Build ability to sit with it. Build ability to sit with it. And an ability to wrap yourself in compassion while you're doing the sitting.
Okay, now I've got chills. Yeah.
Because that is where the larger healer comes into the space. That is not your ego, that is not your mind, that is not your partner, that is not even therapist. This is where you're training yourself to be connected to the deeper truth and to the deeper healing that exists within you as part of what you are as consciousness, as body mind.
That's a wrap.
That's it. That's it for this episode. That's it. Let us know what you think in the comments below.